Mm-hmm. Oof. Oh, damn. That sucks. What? Nice.
when you first started, how quickly did you move up the ranks? What was that experience like for you? What really attracted you to the game or got you wanting to be where you're at this point?
I mean, I think historically I've always been a fairly competitive person, so the fact that it's a team-based, sports-style type of game already appeals to a lot of things that I enjoy doing. The fact that it's a video game just makes it easier to do since you can just sit in a room and play it, but I mean, picking it up, it was back in preseason before we really had season 1, so that was when the MMR bar still existed, and
Oh my gosh.
trying to push for top 100 to get the platinum crown. That was really the early days, and I think the hardest part at the start was really just getting the command to figure out how to fly. But before I figured that out, it was just so much fun just driving around and just hitting the ball put this stupid smile on my face because it was just so fun. And so it was really that drive to, see how far you could push it. And after everyone and their dog saw, the Kronovi montage video at the opening, it's like, wait, you could do that? That's even a thing? And like, you go and watch it back now, it's like, man, those are the worst aerials I've ever seen in my entire
Oh my
life.
gosh.
But it was really that first Kronovi montage that I got to watch that's like, alright, we're going to learn how to do this. And preseason happened, got to gold, was never going to push for plat, not that good. And then from then on, it's really just been the very slow, steady grind of improving my mechanics, I suppose.
So talk to me a little bit about that. When was the first season, like, when was the earliest seasons that you feel like you got to be, like, really good? Or, because you sit around Champ 3 Grand Champ right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first.
So when did you get to that point?
I mean, that point didn't happen until it must have been season 3. That was when they did the rank recalibration for the first time, and everyone got pushed up a couple ranks for that. So, I mean, after preseason, season 1 started. At that point, it was really the most impressive thing was learning to fly. Was really that first plateau break in terms of going up in levels of skill and ability. You really do, or at least at that time, you really did just blitz through, bronze and silver and gold ranks after you learned how to fly because, people just couldn't stop you. They didn't know how. And then they did the rank reshuffle where you got like the All-Star and Superstar and Challenger biddings and stuff.
Yep.
I was stuck in Superstar in Season 2 for... it must have been 9 months or something like that. I for whatever reason, didn't know what to do about that break in my gameplay, and I had no clue how to push past that plateau because I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then Season 3 happened where they did the rank recalibration, and after I did my placement games, I immediately got placed in Champ 2, and I remember being so mad that I didn't get to like break through Superstar and make Champ on my own. I was like, so annoying to me that I was...
What a jump.
Yeah, it's like they did the rank recalibration, the reshuffle of all the MMR, and I just got dropped a lot higher than I was expecting. I expected to be back in Superstar and maybe have an easier time, but apparently it pushed me up quite a few ranks.
Did you get Grand Champ in Season 3?
Yeah, I did make Grand Champ in Season 3. That was the first time I ever made Grand Champ in 2v2. And then, obviously everyone says Season 3 was a meme, but that was really the first time for me that, despite it being a little bit easier to obtain than previous seasons, or a couple seasons to come afterwards, obviously, I mean, that still meant a lot to me that, okay, even if everyone thinks that Season 3 Grand Champ is a joke of a title and an achievement, you still have managed to prove to yourself that you are capable of playing at a much higher level than you previously thought. Just
at least somewhere around there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what do you think that block was that you had in season 2?
See, that's kind of the interesting thing about it, because again, I didn't have that same realization when pushing out of the lower ranks in preseason and season 1. Was learning to fly. That was obviously the big block, and since the rank recalibration in season 3 sort of shuffled it around, I never had that same realization of this is what's different, because it just put me up there. And then it was really, pace of play was the first big thing I remember having to really work on. You have to get so much quicker at that point in terms of reading bounces and going for challenges, and you can't sit there like on your own half and just expect somebody to make a mistake. You have to be able to understand what they're going to do and how you can stop it. So that was the first big struggle for me.
Yes, let's talk about that a little bit, because I feel like that is exactly where I'm at right now. I'm D3 and 2s, and I waver. Like, I will go all the way up to Champ 2, Div 2 in 3s, and then I'll crumble back to Diamond 3 in 3s. Like, I can waver anywhere in between there, depending on what kind of mood I'm in, how aggressive I'm being with the ball, how well I'm supporting teammates, things of that nature. And I feel like all of it, especially once I get back to that Champ 2 range, the pace of play just changes so dramatically. So for you, when you were getting more accustomed to that pace of play, like, what was it for you, or what were you practicing? What were you thinking about that leveled you out and got you to a place where it wasn't like, I have to figure out a way to do this? It was, you felt more comfortable and were able to just be in that place.
Yeah, so a big thing for me, actually, like, I don't practice things in a particular way. Like, I'm not the type of person that goes into free play and practices dribbling for 3 hours or even 1 hour. I don't really sit down and try and grind one particular mechanic until I've mastered it. I have sort of learned all of my Rocket League abilities through literally just solo queuing thousands of games. I also don't hardly ever play with friends as teammates. Like, a lot of what I've done in terms of progression has been solo queue standard and solo queuing 2v2 and solo queuing regular standard. And so I think for me that was one of the big things that helped me, was that I got very used to not having communication with people. I had to learn to just look at my teammates' cars, and even without quick chat communications, understand what they were going to do next. You have to be able to communicate with your car your intentions to your teammates so that they can make an informed decision about what to do next. And I feel that for me personally, I have a very good understanding of what people are going to do in general. So it's very easy for me to look at a car and be like, he's rotating back, he needs boost, he's not going to turn around in the midfield here and go for a challenge or something. Just because I look at it, I look at the distance to him and where the ball is and who's behind the ball and who's next to it. And that all kind of happens in that split-second time frame, where I've just done it so many times now that I have a very honed sense of what people are going to do with nonverbal communication. I think is a very underrated skill for a lot of people, is just looking at cars and understanding what they're going to do so that you can make a better decision.
I mean, that's huge, and I feel like for my own game personally, I almost lack in that. Like, some people would call that the game sense or game smarts or just understanding of the game. I feel like I lack so much in that my mechanics are almost like ahead of my game sense, and like I will overcommit or take challenges that I shouldn't, or double commit on my teammate, or just be in a position that doesn't serve anybody that will end up us losing a possession or giving up a goal.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing, because I play with Jorby sometimes, and Jorby, much like you, tends to swing from Champ 2 and just goes on these massive roller coaster swings of like he'll drop down to Diamond 3 and then the next day he's back up in Champ 2, and he just goes through these massive swings. And whenever I play with Jorby, I look at it and I'm just thinking, you're trying to do too much. A lot of the time is what it is. I mean, you have to be willing to relinquish some of that control, because a lot of people are like, I can't trust my teammates, blah, 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 in solo queue and when I'm trying to rank up. And it puts you in that mindset of, I have to try and make this happen. And what that results a lot of the time is you'll be the third man back, say, in a 3v3 game. And what you'll end up doing is you'll push into a corner when you really don't need to, because your teammate's already there. He may look like he's rotating out, but really he knows he has time to pick up that midfield boost and go up the sidewall and make a challenge. He knows he's got the time for that. And that's often what happens when I see players that go on these huge elo swings is they just haven't really developed that fine-tuned understanding of when do I actually need to go for something, and you try and do too much a lot of the time. Or you also find people who, they feel like they have pretty good mechanics, but then they'll miss an easy play, and then they get inside their own head. And then, they just think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed that. All my teammates think I'm an idiot. And then, they just go on this downward mental spiral, and that just makes them play worse. And then they keep trying to do too much again, but now they're not even confident that they're going to make it happen, and it's just a huge thing about it. And so those are the two things that I see most often from people that go on big swings like that, is they get inside their own head, or they try and do just a little bit too much.
Wow, there was so much good stuff there. Holy cow. So let's break some of those things down just a little bit more. So one thing that I'm really curious about is being the third man in a threes game. So I'll give you an example. So I have a couple of friends that are probably right on the cusp. One is solid grand champ, like 1550 to 1600, I think is where he lies, and like he is without a doubt grand champ every season pretty comfortably. And then another friend of mine, I have two other friends that, sit in the Champ 3 area and could probably get Grand Champ if they wanted to, like, really warm up and grind it out, but they just don't put the effort into it. And when I play with them, more often than not, it's me just, like, floating around the midfield, backfield, and then they are always somehow up in the front, like passing the ball to each other and scoring the goals, and I'm just like picking my nose. And then like if they miss or something doesn't quite go, as Rocket League goes, like a pass isn't perfect or they miss a shot or something, like I move up into the offensive side of the field, but by the time I'm like recentering the ball or something like that, they're already gone. So I'm just, again, like it's almost like the play is just flipped, and now everybody's on the other side of the field, even though I'm trying to center the ball back to them. So like, what does effective play look like from a third man? Or, if there is effective play going on in the offensive side, that third man, how do they contribute to the play, or what is the purpose? How can I read that better so that I'm not just getting carried and watching my friends play the game the entire time?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and I think that's something that you can really learn watching a lot of pro players. One of my favorite third man players, definitely Justin. People think, wait, Justin's this huge offensive force, but to me, the most valuable asset for when Justin was on NRG is, yes, he's the first one forward a lot of the time, but that also means he's the first one out. And then he lets Fireburner and Garrett G, build the pressure.
Turbo Pulsa.
It'll be Turbo Pulsa now, but at the time, it was G and Fireburner doing all the pressure. And, he'll take the ball on an air dribble, maybe he'll score it, maybe he'll just punch it off the corner or off the backboard, and then Garrett and Fireburner will do whatever. And it's not guaranteed that Garrett and Fireburner are going to create a chance for Justin to come in and score the ball or make something happen. And Justin when he rotates out, I think is one of the best third man players in all of Rocket League, because there's a mentality shift that goes into third man. You don't have to think about so much of, oh my goodness, my teammates have rotated out, I've pushed up into the offensive third, and I've centered the ball and nobody's there. That's not necessarily what it's about. I mean, the third man role to me is your contingency plan. It's the, okay, someone's made a mistake, or they finally made a nice play on the defensive side to find a clear. You're not necessarily trying to create a scoring chance. You're trying to buy time or regain possession. Sure, if one presents itself, great, and hopefully a teammate's there to follow it up, but you can't be thinking that, hey, I centered the ball, why is nobody there? You have to be thinking, okay, let's make sure we mitigate the danger that we allow here. You don't want to let that clear get over your head. You don't want to let them just have this easy touch on the ball and start a dribble and finally get possession for their team. That's really what the third man role is it's the time buyer, the reset the clock for your team and get everybody back on the same page.
And that makes sense, because just even as I'm thinking about it, sometimes it will just automatically be for me, okay, I'm going to try and recenter the ball, but really that could almost be at least a very low effectiveness shot or touch, because I'm just giving the ball back to the opponents because my teammates aren't there, when really I could try and hold on to the ball or delay so that my teammates can get back into the play after they've gone and got boost or something to that effect.
Exactly. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, even that, let's say you're going up for that challenge on the sidewall and you just punch it off the corner and it bounces into the mid and they clear the ball down to your end and you're still on defense anyway. Even that's not the end of the world. I mean, sure, you gave the ball right back to them, but obviously you can't hold on to the ball the entire game. The most important thing is that you didn't just allow a smooth transition of offense to defense for the opposing team. You didn't let them catch you rotating back and not in position to deal with something. I mean, what's most important was those 1 to 2 seconds that you allowed your teammates rotating back to grab boost and reassess the situation and reposition themselves. Yes, it wasn't optimally done, but at the end of the day, you bought enough time, and that's really the most crucial point. And also, if you're playing with people that are better than you, and you feel like you're a little bit slower, Corelli and I talk about this all the time with each other. There is a very real skill that goes into getting carried in a game of Rocket League. If you're outclassed, all you have to do is make sure not to just make some glaring mistake, like say, again, you're stuck in that third man and they get the clear over your head. Well, it's going to be over your head somewhere off a corner or maybe the wall. Just make sure you get the touch and make sure it's not a weak one that's right into the middle of the box for them to score. Just get back, tip the ball into the corner, and then let your really good teammates find the clear and go back on offense. It's really, you don't have to do too much. You just have to do your job. And if your teammates are better than you, they will be capable of picking up the slack and working with you.
Yeah. And one thing that I've noticed with these friends in particular that actually kind of got me to the next step and noticing that my game sense, kind of what you were talking about earlier in terms of really paying attention to the game and what's going on and where people are, is that I would spend a lot of time in our side of the field or even in the midfield, just kind of driving in circles, because I would always kind of be heading towards the ball.
Hmm. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, it's on. Hello.
Bueno, porque ahorita llegaron, no tengo la
Okay.
compañía.